Team list Tuesday, round 19. And there's a couple of interesting fellows on this list. Ben Hunt, Dave Fafita, Leo Thompson, Dallin Watini, Zalesniak. We've got all but one game here with Origin tomorrow night. So just be aware of all of the potential backups and whatever else that does come up here. They are subject to change with Origin. And given it's a game 3, how's it going to go with celebrations and different things like that? Will players be ready and able to back up for their respective sides? We will see. Now, this first game on Friday night, the Sharkies and the Dolphins are very, very unaffected from Origin, apart from Hammer, who has been named at fullback, which is good news for anyone looking to buy him or that does own him, which is a very limited amount of people. But you've got Farnworth and Isaiah Katoa, two guys there that come in fresh off the bye, and they do have one more remaining in round 21. So be aware of that when you're looking at buying those guys. With them both being at a decently high price, especially that of Herbie, with Isaiah dropping just a little bit. Similar situation to like Preston, I'd say, with Isaiah. Got to a pretty high price, just had that one lower score, it's dropped it down a bit. Those guys could be bought now, they could be bought in round 22, which is still a fair while away, so you're getting that this next couple of weeks before they miss the following one. Kurt Donahue named at 13 again, and we got Tauha again. I think it was a guy with similar last name, potentially. Trey Fuller in the 19. We need him in there. We will see how things go with Hammer. I would love to see Trey out there, and hopefully Hammer doesn't get injured in the process. For the Sharkies, if you held on to your boy Adam Fanua-Blake or Cam McInnes, I think it's a good idea, especially with mid being fairly tough this week. There's a lot of people looking at some of the Origin contingent, but if they don't back up, then your buys this week could be a little bit annoying. For their back line, it looks exactly the same, with Talakai still sticking in the centres, and I think Nico Hines a pretty clear hold with the run they've got coming up, but we will go through that in the holds and the sells. Now tonight I will jump in and launch out the best buys video. Seemed to do well last week a little bit earlier, so I'll pop that out there. Given we seem to learn and we know a lot of the information of team lists fairly quickly during the week when it does pop up through all of our different sources, which is good. Sean O'Sullivan is the one to come in for Cody Nikorima, who is out for the Knights. We see Fletcher Hunt in the 1 jersey, and it looks like he has a very high chance of keeping the spot longer term, which is great news for him to show his stuff. We've seen a lot of guys come into that fullback jersey in the last few years, between Armstrong, Sharp, Ponga doing his thing, and even Fletcher Hunt looked pretty good there when he played a couple of weeks ago. The rest of the backline looks really strong, and Hastings and Cogger seems to be preferred right now. The big news out of this one is Phoenix Crossland going back to 9 and Jaden Bradley back to the 14 jersey, which was how they were lining up when they were fit. So to see it actually come to fruition with Leo Thompson back in the team and also Jacob Saifidi, it all makes sense. But we just weren't sure if it was actually going to play out. So if you did jump on Brayley early, hopefully it's still big enough minutes at 50 to 60. And if you were thinking about Crossland, or if you did jump on, he isn't as good in the 9 jersey. For the Storm Boys, we've got Pappenhausen has been named, which is good news for him. Wow. We lose Kane Bradley. That hurts my soul, given I brought him in Supercoach, and looks like Joe Chan was the play. Crazy. They got Tuamalatu Brown, who gets his opportunity on the right wing there. Grant Anderson on the left, with Meaney back in the centres to partner Joe Chan. Now with the Origin boys, they've all been named on the bench. And I say all, we've got Liero, Munster and Grant. Jack Howarth in the 18 jersey, so a chance to come into the side following his appendix surgery. Yeah. Now the rest of the side, Wishart will partner Jerome Hughes, so I expect Hughesy to have just another really good game like we do see when he plays with Wishart. And then the forwards, you've got Eli Katoa, who is still the really good edge pick. And yeah, it's just going to be a question mark as to what happens with... It looks like Munster's probably less of a chance than guys like Grant. This is a very, very early backup game, given it's the first one on Saturday afternoon. So be aware of that when you're looking at a few of these types of players. But most likely it's just Harry Grant that you might be having a geeze at. All right, for the Dragons, we see there Valentine Holmes has been named, which is good. King Tongia, we'll talk about him in the holds and the sells, but I think he's getting closer to the sell side after that lower score and just our lack of need for him in our sides longer term. For their forwards, you do see Luciano back in action this week with Jaden Sewer. Damien Cook starting with Gula and Clemmer. You see the bench there. Hammy Stewart comes back into that fold, and they lose guys like Viliami Fafita, Pacifica Tonga go back to the reserves. Wow, Santa Smith in the reserves for the Roosters. That's the big news there. Rodwell as well, Makatoa, Ethan King, Lasalu. Our bench, what do we got? Oh, Faghetti keeps his spot, but we thought that was a decent chance. It was going to be him or Egan Butcher, but yeah, they've decided for Egan to be the bench guy with Spencer Lenu, Blake Steep, and Zach Talker-Clay. All of their origin guys being named, which is the big one here, with Victor Radley in 13. Fahu White, my worry with him and playing him this week is that we had the massive score and the massive minutes last week. If he can get 45 minutes out, I'll be pretty pleased with how that's potentially looking. And in their backs, you've got Billy Smith returning most likely from his injury, and then Robert Toya looking to back up from Origin. But I suppose with those guys, they'll wait and see as to how they back up. But Connor Watson and is back in the side, which is great with Lindsay Collins and Crichton. And then you've got Sam Walker in the 7 jersey, which I think will hinder Hugo Savala a bit more around the kicking in general play. Thankfully, defensively, Hugo has been incredible, and he's going to get he's still going to get a decent amount of defensive work. The question's going to be, does Walker play on the right hand side where Hugo has been, or does Sammy play on that left hand side? So we'll have to wait and see. With Nwanga Nitawaze heading back to the wing, where we know he can do great work, but apparently, definitely at centre, he can also do the same. So guys like Crichton, if he actually plays, he'll be coming into a few people's teams. Now, post-Origin, post-big minutes, how's that going to look this week? Or do you wait the one further week to get into that one? Guys, make sure you do check out Mitch and Matt's video. I did come in for a 10-minute cameo at the end. Good fun having a laugh with those boys, giving each other crap, as we like to do. If you are interested in the private group, guys, getting that one-on-one help and the big group of people that are all doing well, we've currently got first and second overall from the private crew out of 400 people. So we're doing some good work in there. If you would love to be a part of that, head down the description, guys. Information is there to get that quicker help week to week rather than having to do ridiculous amounts of research that I do. I do it for you and then give you one-on-one help. Easy game. Now the Cowboys, Drinkwater and Purdue are the two guys that people have been owning, and Drinkwater we will continue. Well, when I say we, my vice captain in Supercoach last week, but you'd be hoping that they can start playing some better footy because they come across some tougher teams over the next few weeks, and the Doggies will be one of them, looking to bounce back from their loss last week. The close losses they've been having there. 2 weeks in a row, hey. They're the low one again. Yeah, super close against the Panthers, and then the close one last week against the Broncos. Now for the Cowboys, we do see Robson named there, Cotter on the edge, which is interesting there, with Jeremiah Nanai named to start, which is cool. Maritalangi potentially coming back from the injury that he did suffer. Blake Wilson still named in 23. I just got some news. We just got some news before about Marcelo Montoya copying a sort of 6-week injury, and Anari Tawala keeps his spot on the wing. Now, my hope is that Karaz ends up playing on the right-hand side where he did really well. We'll have to see on that one. Moving to the left, I didn't like it as much. But you do have Burton named at 6 with Toby Sexton, and they've got Galvin on the bench. So will that actually stay how it's been named, or will that change? We'll find out soon enough. So we've got Preston has gotten cheaper. You got Karaz. They're very similar prices, to be fair now. Both those guys, good purchases long term. And some people went for Kickout last week as well, so you can have a look at him there. But bench is really strong. Kurt Mann, Harry Hayes, Josh Curran, and Lockie Galvin. Bateman's out, that's why. McIntyre, and then Duffy. There you go. I forgot about that groin for Bateman. There you go. All right, moving down. Warriors and the Tigers. So the Wires need a bounce back. They sure do. Tanner Boyd has been named at 7, so he's fairly cheap. I think watching him for a week is probably the correct play. Just more around the fact that I think we have lots of halves in our team. So yeah, we'll go through him in the best buys just to show you what I'm going to expect from him coming into this week in round 19. Tulpiki at 1 is going to be really fun. They've got Chans out for, what's it going to be, 4 weeks or so for Chans? Oh, nursing an injury. Actually, yeah, it might not be too long. So that's probably the frustrating thing with Tane, because we know he can be pretty impressive, but the length of Chans is one. Someone comment down below how long it was for Chans. I don't think it was very long. But just saying, nursing a knee injury there. Oh, Jack Bird, still not even named this week. Ugh. Oh, he's on the bench. God, that's gross. Ugh. Yeah. Not much else to say there on that one. Probably glad to missed it in the end, but I know some people didn't, so that's tough. Hopefully he can score okay off the bench if you want to play him. We'll go with that one. We'll go from there. Halasima back in the starting side with Jacob Laban on the bench. They're just changing this like they change their clothes every day at the moment, apparently. Nikore in there. Fisher, Harrison, Ford in the starters. Valmarga, Stowers, Smith in there as well. Bunty FL. Kirk Cable in the 23. So right now they're not playing him, but he could potentially go into that spot. And you imagine he comes in for Halasima in this one. The rest of the team looks, similar enough. For the Tigers there, Adam Dewey moves back into the centres, which makes sense given how well Latu played and how well he played with Jerome Luai as well. But hey, he played well with Dewey, so maybe he is part of the answer to get this show on the right track. The rest of the squad, it is Tony Suka and Samuel Afenu, who Samuel did a really good job at a cheap price. So for those that did mention him, I know I had him as a small option. He came out and at just a mid-range awkward price. Spoke about him in the best buys, but the awkward mid-range price was the problem on that one there. Do expect Appy to go pretty well in general. They do have Tristan Hope in there in the 14, so shows that there is a chance that Appy doesn't get the full 80 if, that's how it ends up. Now for Sunday afternoon as well, we got the Eels and the Panthers there. For the Eels, you see Sam Rani keep his spot in the centres, Dylan Brown with Dean Hawkins. There's no Mitch Moses as yet. Now the rest of the side, Charlie Geimer back in the edge. Joey Lussick with Talon De Silva, with Riley Smith being out for 1 more week, but their propensity to start Joey Lussick means that Talon De Silva there is in a bit of an awkward spot. I think he does play some decent minutes, and I did forget to mention, guys, that Tamati Martin did keep his spot on the bench, so it doesn't really help anyone looking to purchase him. Now for the rest of the Eels side, Jack Williams starting, Katonga, I think you can easily hold him for now. You got Tuivasa, Dury, Walker, and then Talon on the bench. So there's not guys like Jack Williams will continue to play some good minutes. You'd imagine Katonga is pretty safe for decent minutes there on his side of the ball. And then for the Panthers, where are they all? They're on the reserves. Okay. Cleary, Edwards, To'o, Martin, Isaiah Yeo, all in the reserves there with Luke Summerton and Preston Rickey. They're in good company, those boys there. Now, if this is how it runs out, it's Laurie at the back. Jenkins keeps his spot. Alamotti's in there with Tungo and McLean. Talangi and Schneider makes sense. Okay, Garner, Papali'i, Eisenhuth. It's all pretty stock standard for those guys. It's just going to depend on how they pull up, basically. It looks like with this one, some might back up, some may not. Guys like Brian To'o nursing an injury coming into this origin. Hopefully Cleary has been able to recover well and he's good to go for this week. But hopefully if he's not, you do have some coverage in your halves, like I was speaking about before. But To'o I expect as one of the worries of not playing. And guys like Isaiah Yeo will be firmly in people's target zones this week as a purchase. So, Kelma Tuolangi after playing well is gone. What happened to him again? Suspended. Of course he is. But someone like Isaiah Yeo, people are looking to purchase. So keep an eye on that. And Jack Cole coming back onto the bench. Now for the Titans to finish this one off, we have AJ Brimson at the back with Foran and Campbell returning. Yay, we need him back. Now Chris Randall and Beau Fermor keep their spot in on the edges there with Dave Fafita off the bench. So that'll be interesting now to see Chris Randall, who basically has done a job in your side anyway. I think he's very close to a sell. Mo Fortawaker is there and ready to go. Where is Tino? Tino is in 13. Good. Okay. For those that are looking at him, he has been named, which is nice. And it's the last game of the week, so it's basically a 5-day turnaround for these guys, which is awesome. Makes it much, much easier for them to back up. And then for the Broncos side of things, Reece Walsh has been named, which is great, given he's only 18th man. Karapani keeps his spot with Shibasaki, who has been named to back up as well as Haas and Carrigan there. The big news out of this one, we've got Willison in the starting side, who's been doing really good. Ben Hunt in at 9 with Billy Walters. Unfortunately sees Corey Pakes move out of the side. Jesse Arthur's in 24, along with Selwyn Cobbo in the 18 jersey, who had an absolute shocker, especially in that first half last week. Smoothie, Goz, I think got Walters and Smoothie on the bench. Yeah, that's genuinely just to get rid of these guys out of the side. And Kobe Hetherington, who's been doing, or played well last week anyway. So Pia Kura keeps his spot with Ricky. Guys like Carrigan will be a fun little thought, but with these guys having a bye in round 20, the only guy you would look at potentially buying this week would be Payne Haas, but I think that's a tough pill to swallow given the, I don't know, it's hard to say. He keeps saying the injury that he's carrying with the back, he's getting injections, but then he came out and just got 100 anyway. So pretty wild situation with that one. With TLT, guys, fairly short and sweet. We'll get into the nitty-gritty in the Best Buys video for round 19, which you'll catch later tonight. I'll get into making that now. Hope you guys had plenty of fun enjoying the one day of bliss before it all gets fun now with team lists, sorting out your squads, where you're at, waiting to hear all the results and see how everyone backs up from Origin, and then just watching Origin. It's going to be such a hectic game. I'm super excited to watch it. It's a packed stadium. Hopefully the Blues do really well. I'm expecting them to. And yeah, make sure you get your tips in, guys. And yeah, have a great rest of your Tuesday afternoon.